One thing can indisputably prove that humanity is a retarded species: its insensitivity. The proof is obvious, since always, and yet denied to the deepest part of the structure of human being. The world of mankind is globally, throughout its history, only a pack of horrors, up to the current danger of a destruction of its own conditions of existence on earth. Even if we call it life, even if we never stop dreaming about all forms of progress, even if we appeal to some scattered splendors of the artistic and spiritual genius, all this does not contradict the continuous extent of the daily massacre of human forms among themselves and around them. And the fact that we want at any price to classify humanity in different categories of beings that at the end of the day come down to the blind distinction of the heroes and the villains, each man and woman narcissistically trying, under the seal of moral and thus of a shameful culpability, to consider themselves different from the others, thus justifying the fact of judging them and constantly looking for a scapegoat of their misfortune, their disagreement, or simply their vexation, simply adds to the evidence of the little consciousness animating our so-called human species. This little consciousness is the insensitivity itself, that has nothing to do with romantic or intellectual considerations. The philosopher is structurally as insensitive as the philanthropist, the good feeling as much as the cynicism. Nothing human justifies the universal cruelty of mankind in its submission as much as in its exaction. Why man does not find it natural to care for life? Who among us is not a slave to a killing poison? Who does not actively take part, subconsciously, in its own daily destruction? Who does not exercise the power of death on life? Tobacco, alcohol, chemical food, but all forms of organic and psychic stress, denial, lie, avoidance strategy, and at the end of our humanity, every day of our strains, visible or not, of our instant wars of territories, it is the fear of dying that kills, isn't it? Isn't human life in itself the repressed of suicide? Surviving by any means, but caring for life is not a priority in man's thought. If life was a priority for us, if we lived effectively and obviously according to it, sensitive to it, without having to think about it, we would not be human beings, but living beings, and there would be no sense in looking for this kingship of God that religions have built to better justify the hope, the war, and the inaccessible. In other words, the power of suffering and hurting. We are insensitive to the life that we are. Here is the real fact. inaccessible through the thought, controlling the human automaton. Unless we meet that in such a way, the automaton, brilliant as it is, will perpetuate its prison. It will life-kill. Any thought is a plaster to prevent us from feeling the deadly insensitivity that constitutes us, the thinking beings. Then meeting that we are insensitive to the life that we are cannot come from us, the thinking beings, but from life, from the blow of life, that only the life that we are can receive. The blow of life is the only coup de grâce ever. We, the thinking beings, must be tinged with the unknown to our thought, so that our cabin works loose, and in this rustle of slumber, so that we become sensitive at each blow, in each layer of our machine dedicated to kill and to be killed, sensitive to feel, through the blow, our insensitivity. Because it is not enough to be in pain, it is necessary to receive it, to feel it intelligently. Being in pain does us good, becoming sensitive to the life that we are. For life, we have nothing else to live than becoming sensitive to the life that we are. Everything else is just the thinking madness of avoidance that maintains the robot up to the Terminator. Life alone removes the plaster of an innumerable blow in this kind of nightmare that dreams, that lies, suffers from lying. Life appears suddenly in the mental calculation, the accident, the impact in the slumber, the blow in the head, the bug. For life, the life in this human being armor is only a blow, full contact. Otherwise, I always think I possess life. Even when I no longer know anything, I turn it into wisdom, as if the blow was not the only one living. Only the mental calculation pays the price of being smashed. Image of the global genocide. Fire of the brain in its archaic survival program. Now, the gigantic war continuing on Earth has the means to destroy everything that is to self-destruct. Should we be glad of that? Who can justify such a barbarity, even while admitting that each individual is barbaric? How can we open up to our extinction as it is possible? I ask myself the question of love. Is it love? The love without contrary and stranger to nothing that does that to us? Or I say to myself there is no love, how to live? Or else, if love is not what I think of it, what I think of it must die. The sheer dizziness,